welcome back to the vlog. Today is going to be a little mix of my first day home with the girls by myself and also a little bit of like a story time because as you know, May 31st our youngest was born. Little Miss Shiloh Alana Ruth. Isn't she so squishy? Oh, I just want to eat her up. You want to watch a movie? You want to watch a movie?
Watch a movie!
I could put a movie on for you. No, ma'am. No, I didn't ask you to open it. Today is... Sorry, my hair is a wreck. Today is my first day home alone with all 4 girls. Michael, see, can't even get the names right, and it's just starting. So, Shiloh was born on Friday, so Jose got the entire weekend off. And he stayed late today. But he had to go back to work. This week is going to be insane for them. And then we have family coming in town from Texas at the end of the week. So I'm super excited because they'll get to meet Shiloh while she's still brand new. They've always had to wait a couple months. So this will be a first. She was born at 8 p.m. and she weighed in at 7 pounds 4 ounces and was 20.5 inches long. So she was pretty average size considering how tiny I was. Everybody kept thinking she's going to be under 7 pounds. I even thought she was going to be under 7 pounds, but she surprised us. She was all folded up in there real good. But yeah, so I'll take you throughout our day, and probably later in the afternoon when everybody's down for a nap, I can tell you our birth story. And I've got pictures and some video that I'll insert into this video because I didn't record everything. It was a long day, so yeah, we will check in with you later. What you guys doing? You eating a snack? Oh goodness, Michael. Is that not me? You're gonna drop it. That's an interesting way to eat a cutie. Adrian, what snack are you eating?
A better.
Ooh, yummy, better. What you guys watching? Some Veggie Tales? So this is real life. Day 3 with a newborn in the house. It was worse than this, but my husband helped clean up a bit before he left for work. Hey there, welcome back. So the girls, the older 3 anyways, Hannah, Adrian, and Michael are down for a nap, and Shiloh is sleeping right here with me. I don't know if you can see her. She's sleeping here. So I figured while I have a couple moments I would do a quick little story time. Like I said, I did not film everything. It was a very long and hard day. So my contractions had been starting Thursday during the day. That's why I did vlog, and that video just went live yesterday. I did film during that day, and that's when I started losing my mucus plug and started getting a few contractions here and there, but nothing was steady. And then around 4:50 in the morning on Friday, I started getting consistent contractions. I had been contracting throughout the night, but nothing was really waking me up or making me feel like I needed to start timing anything. And then I had one at like around 4:45, and then I had another one at 4:50. So the one I had at 4:50, I decided to time it. It was 1 minute and 11 seconds long, which is pretty decent contraction. And then I had another one, and when I looked at the space between them, they were 7.5 minutes apart. And then I had another one, and that was 4.5 minutes apart. So they just started getting closer and closer together pretty quickly. So around 5 o'clock or 5:15, we called my mother-in-law because she was going to come over and take care of our 3 daughters while we were gone, and also take care of the dog for us. And then I had my husband call our niece because she was coming from Davis, so she had the longest drive. Her drive is probably like well over an hour, because ours, from our house to our midwife to the birthing center, is about 40 minutes long, give or take on traffic. And so then after that, I called my mom and let her know we were heading out. And then I called the midwife and let her know about my contractions, and she said, well, let's just meet over there. All right, honey. Today is possibly the day. These keep up. How you feeling?
I'm ready today.
Better be today.
A little tired, but haven't had the coffee yet. So getting my game face on after that.
You excited?
I'm trying to get there. We're about excited later.
On our way to Modesto. Praying that these contractions keep up.
Are they slowing down?
Yeah, but not by much. And they're starting to get longer. And they were every 3.5 to 4.5 minutes at home, but they were starting to lessen up in the length. Like they started out at like a minute apart, or a minute lasting like a minute and 11 seconds, a minute change, and then they were getting to like 45 to 30 seconds lasting that long. So now they're a little bit further apart, but they're lasting almost a minute, which is good. That's it. They're not like little teeny things. Yes, they are doing something. So we got there at 6 in the morning, and we just started letting my body do what it was going to do. My midwife was setting up. My parents got there just as we did. And my niece Ariel arrived probably around 6:37 in the morning. So not too long after we did. And then we just went throughout it. I have some pictures of me just talking through most of my contractions. None of them were pretty bad, and they actually had slowed up quite a bit, so I was going like 15-20 minutes in between contractions, somewhere around there. I stopped timing because I was already there, so my midwife said I didn't have to time them anymore, and she was keeping an eye. And when I first got there, about an hour after I got there, she checked me, and I was 2 centimeters dilated, so she just had me do some different things. I was walking up and down the stairs. I did some squats. I sat on the toilet to try and open up my pelvis and get her down. I bounced on a birthing ball. I did a bunch of stuff, and my mother ended up having to leave because she had injured her knee recently, and she had to go see an orthopedic specialist because that day was the only day that she could get in, and she was having a lot of swelling. They ended up having to drain her knee. So it's a good thing she ended up going. She didn't miss anything. So she and my dad got back around 4:30, around there, and I was still not having regular contractions. My midwife actually ended up putting using a wrap to wrap my belly, and she'd said it was to bring the baby forward and down, and that's because I have 2 hernias on my abdomen. And I guess where they're located, it was kind of like in the way. I guess it's hard to explain how she did. So she was trying to get the baby in proper position because she was kind of off to the side a little bit. I wish I would have gotten pictures of this. Probably around, it had to be around like 5 o'clock. She wanted me to start doing what's called the mile circuit. And it's a series of positions that they put you in that encourage proper positioning of the baby. So The first one was the Captain Morgan stance, and I looked like Captain Morgan. I was standing on one leg was perched up on the bed, and then I held on to the post with one hand. And then I had the other hand just kind of helping me balance. So I did that, had a couple of pretty good contractions in that position. And then the second position was the one that got her into the proper position because it hurt like crazy. So I was on my hands and knees on the bed, and I just kind of, after a few minutes, they gave me one of the small peanut balls to kind of like lay on. And I had a really intense contraction, and then I felt this like pop or flick, and that spurred another contraction, and that was intense. And when I told my midwife, she said that's her getting into the right position. So she was like almost on my hip, and she moved into the birth canal at that point. So those contractions became much more intense. By this point, so when I first got there, they checked me, I was at 7. She checked me at 7 a.m., I was 2 centimeters. She checked me at 10 a.m., I was 4 centimeters. So I hadn't really been progressing very much. And when she checked me again around 2 p.m., I was still 4 centimeters. So this is a couple hours before we started the mile circuit. I was still 4 centimeters, so she kind of did like a stretch and sweep and got me to a 5. Not as bad as I was expecting it to be, but really uncomfortable. So I did the Captain Morgan stance, and then I did the hands and knees with the peanut ball, and that got her into the right position and got me contracting much, much more frequently and more intensely. So the next position was side lying on the bed with the peanut ball between my legs. And again, all of these positions are just to open up the pelvis and keep the baby in the right position. And I had, that was a great one because I was actually able to nap in between contractions because I only had maybe a couple hours of sleep the night before. So they were intense contractions, but I was able to knock out in between them. So I got a pretty decent amount of sleep time in, I guess you could say. I had like little mini cat naps here and there. And then I flipped sides, and my mom and dad are back by this point, but my mom was, she said that she and my dad were going to go grab some dinner, and then they'd come back and she said, just text me if, they were going to stay close by. So she said, text me if things start progressing faster and we'll come right back. And then Jose's niece, Ariel, was able to she ended up having to leave at like 9:30 so that she could go to work back in Davis. But when she got off work, she called and she said, hey, how are things going? I said, well, baby's still not here. And so she said, I'm on my way back. So she came back. She got there probably as my parents were leaving to go get dinner. Yeah, I think she got there close to 6 o'clock. My parents left around 5:15. My midwife had to go use the restroom at that time. And when I came back, she said, I'm going to check you. She said, if you're 6, we're going to break your water, and we're going to put you in the birthing pool. So she checked me at that point, and I was a 6. So she said, perfect. So she broke my water, or so we thought. Apparently I have very strong water. And then she kept thinking, she said, you know what, can you stand up? Because she's like, I didn't get any liquid on my gloves. She said, normally I have water on my gloves. And she said, I didn't get anything. Let's see if you're leaking at all. And I was not leaking at all. The towel was completely dry. She said, okay. So this must have been like a double bag. Because she said, she's like, I felt a snag. So I know I got it. But obviously it didn't break completely. So I had to lay down, and we waited for the next contraction to come. And she broke my water again, and this time it actually broke. After about 10 minutes or so, they finished filling the birthing pool, and she and my husband helped me get in. I was in the pool about 10 minutes, so mind you, 6:59, they broke my water. I was 6 centimeters at that point. Baby was fully engaged, everything, I was fully effaced, everything was ready to go except for the fact that I was only 6 centimeters dilated. So we had to wait for me to complete at that point. And I told Jose, call my parents so they know that I'm in the pool. My water's been broken. And so my mom was like, well, we're just walking around, so we'll come back up. My parents came up again. I was in the pool when my mom got there. I had been in the pool maybe like 8 minutes or so, just under 10 minutes. Right around the 10-minute mark, I had, and I had a couple of good contractions. Right around the 10-minute mark, I had a really different contraction, and I started bearing down. And so my midwife grabbed her gloves and put them on, and the assistant midwife was also there next to me on the other side, checking me and doing, like, checking the baby's heart rate and everything with the Doppler and making sure she's handling everything okay. And my husband looked at my midwife and said, "Oh, are you going to check her to see how she's dilating?" And she's like, "No, she's pushing." And he was like, "What? 20 minutes ago, she was 6 centimeters. How is she already pushing?" So, which was a shock to me too, with how fast things were moving, because as I mentioned in previous pregnancy updates, that I wanted to labor in the water, but I didn't want to give birth in the water. I had decided against giving birth in the water. At that point, I was not moving because I was in so much pain. I couldn't, the contractions were coming pretty close together at that point. And since my water had already been broken, they were very strong. And so I think, so right at 6:59, my water was broken. At 7:20, I was pushing. 8 p.m., she was born into my arms in the water. I got to pick her up out of the water. The midwife helped me, of course, because I was on my hands and knees. And we just laid back, and I was in awe. It was the most incredible experience ever. And this is my 4th delivery. So it was just unbelievable. First water birth, unintentional, but it happened, and I would not change it. I actually really, really enjoyed it. I think I sat with her in the water probably about 10 minutes or so, maybe just over 10 minutes. And then my midwife and my husband helped me stand up, and I delivered the placenta and then passed off the baby to my mother. And we did delayed cord clamping, so the placenta was in a bowl, and my niece held it so that she could stay next to my mom since it was still attached to her. And I got that, my midwife and my husband helped me get onto the bed and get dried off, I got my bathing suit top off, and they then they brought Shiloh to me after they cut her cord.
Did everyone check to make sure it was a girl? Because I didn't look.
Girl.
All right. Yeah, just make sure. Let's just not get our, count our chickens before they hatch.
I know. She carries them differently.
Yeah. Okay. Are you cutting now?
Yeah.
Okay, here's your scissors. Just hold on to those. Don't do anything yet. Bubby. 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 Oh, watch your knee, little one. Okay, Daddy. You're going to cut right here on this side.
Just this side of the...
Right here. Perfect. Yeah, you got to kind of gnaw it a little bit. They're pretty tough.
Yeah.
So we waited until the cord was done pulsing, which by that point it had been about 20 minutes or so. So it was done, it was white, everything was in her. And my husband cut her cord, and then they handed her to me, and we just stayed on bed.
Hey, I'm like,
I'm so
baby
happy for you.
being
That's
born
always such a
today.
rewarding
And he was
experience.
like,
Really.
yes, I'm so excited.
And you aren't tied up to all those things.
No, just don't look at that.
No IVs.
Don't look at that. Don't look at that.
Okay. So.
We have to do a little bit poking and prodding.
She nurses like a champ. She is a natural. I am in pain because she nurses so much. Her latch is amazing, but she nurses so much, and I'm not, it's been over a year since I have nursed a baby. So I'm sore, but we're making it through. She was 7 pounds 4 ounces, 20.5 inches long, so she's a little long one, and just absolutely perfect. Hope you enjoyed the story, and we're just going to continue our day. Good evening. So, I'm sorry, I have to record in the bathroom because it's nighttime and I've got the noise machine on, so I don't know if you'll even be able to hear me. So, we are heading off to bed. Little Miss Shiloh is exhausted. So is Mommy. She's sleeping, but I'm tired. So we are going to bed. Jose got home around like 6 something, and we ate dinner together, and it was a mishmash of food. Right now I'm just in survival mode. I'm going to end the vlog here. I hope you guys enjoyed our day and my birth story. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. I'd like to have you stick around for more family updates. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.